would see them now extend their lead at the top of the table to 6 points. To Thomas Tuchel's quote, this is what he had to say. We have to ask ourselves why we started the way we did today. The willingness, the eagerness to win a game away from home wasn't there today. For more on this, let's welcome in Aage Fjortoft. Jan, of course, took part in a very famous Eintracht victory of the very same scoreline where he scored the 5th goal to make sure they didn't get relegated. But I'm sure he won't bring up who scored that all-important 5th goal. But Jan, look, we didn't see this coming, did we?
Well, I just landed in this weekend in Munich as a former Frankfurt player. Tomorrow I'm going to be on a show here with the head of sport of Bayern, Christoph Freund. Oh. Good timing, Jan.
Yeah.
No, we couldn't see this happening. First of all, Eintracht Frankfurt have been struggling. They played against Saarbrücken in the Pokal, the Cup. This is the 3rd tier in Germany. They lost 2-0. Then they go home and play Tuchel's Bayern 5-1. I must say that the first analysis from Tuchel was even better. He said that before the game, he thought they would play with 4 at the back. Then he got this paper before the game that the Bundesliga will do, and they said they were going to play 5 at the back. So I had to give the team different instructions. Then the game started, he said. They played between a 3 at the back and a 4 at the back. If you think this is complicated, yes, the Bayern Munich player thought so too.
Wow, that seems weird.
I don't understand what he said.
So he's saying basically you get the list of players and he thought they were going to be playing a different formation to what he expected, told the players, seemed to confuse the players, and then obviously we saw them concede goals left, right and centre. Jan,
it's a manager overthinking again.
Defensively, they just look so vulnerable, Jan.
I like the analysis from Stevie with Upamecano. What's gone wrong there? I mean, that is the way it's been said. There is always a mistake there sometimes. And if you have a look at the team, there is always this talk about that double six, Goretzka and Kimmich. And Kim and Upamecano are struggling big time. Yes, they are. But Tuchel has always said, these are not the people I want at the number 6 position. I want another player. But it comes forward a bit like an excuse for me because you have to defend. You have to learn to defend. And to be fair to Harry Kane, he has saved them some games as well because there have been a potential of conceding goals. And there were no excuses for this week. The game against Union Berlin was cancelled because of the snow. They had a week, 2 weeks more or less, or 10 days before Vorbereitung, preparation for this game. And still, they looked like they'd never played football before. And all respect to Eintracht Frankfurt.
They should have lost.
As we see here.
Yeah, they should have lost the title last year. Mm-hmm. Let's be frank about it.
Yeah.
Right? They now have a huge problem, not only in their own house, but with what Xabi Alonso is doing at Bayer Leverkusen. And that doesn't look like it's going to go away anytime soon. It might. So he's bearing in mind, you know, he's got the Champions League, which he's through in the group, but then when we get to the nuts and bolts of the knockout stages, if they defend like that, they'll get pummeled. You know, and they've spent this huge money on Harry Kane at the other end, who's been scoring goals. But if you've got this problem at this end, and I don't know if they're going to go for Paulinho again in January to try and solve a position in the middle of the park. I don't know. They brought in the best defender in Italy, in Kim. So it's not like, I know Upamecano's certainly struggled in that game, but it's not like they've got bad defenders. Mm-hmm. But this result today is going to pile it on old Thomas.
No, as Craig said, they brought in players in the summer. Where does Thomas Tuchel got this arrogance and brashness to say, well, yeah, I know I've got some new players, but I wanted other ones as well. These aren't my holding midfielders that I needed. Why does he feel he can get away with that?
Well, I don't think he can get away with that. I think that is a coach that saw a transfer window, as we were saying. Kim, maybe the best defender last season in the whole Europe. It was fantastic. Doesn't look like it now. Harry Kane, I mean, he has done his job, of course. But Tuchel has always been under this number 6. And there is a lot of talk now how he undermined, how he's showing no respect to Kimmich. They thought he will be the new Bayern captain. He will be the new Germany captain. And he doesn't want to play in there. And somehow this 5-1 result will kind of confirm what he's saying. That is not an ideal thing. But if you have a look at the team, I mean, there's so many good players. And if you see the Frankfurt team today, there should be no confidence. some young lads, and Dino Topmüller is a coach who's never been a first-team coach in his life before, and he's playing Bayern. He used to be the assistant to Julian Nagelsmann at Bayern, of course. I guess this is called a revenge. I think that Julian Nagelsmann and Dino Topmüller have already spoken on the phone, but I spoke to a guy I know very close to the Bayern thing. So there won't be happening anything in terms of this result for Thomas Tuchel. But if you kind of build up on this, they play the next home game, or the next game in the Bundesliga is Stuttgart at home. We know that Stuttgart can win football games. They won in Frankfurt in the last away game. So yeah, pressure is always on, but there's always pressure on in the big clubs anyway, isn't it?
Yeah. And can I ask you a question? Every time, from when Tuchel got to Bayern last season and to now, every time there's a bad performance or things have gone wrong on the field and he's asked, where's the problems and what happened? Every time I've listened to him, he always seems to come out with, I don't know. Is that...
Yeah.
How can he get away? How can he get away with that? You can't.
It's a good observation.
We always complain about managers coming out after games and giving us some nonsense about, the early kickoffs or, whatever. But he just turns around and blankly says, I don't know. You can't keep doing that, can you?
No, and it's a good observation, and it's also a dangerous strategy from Tuchel, because maybe he's honest. Maybe he thinks that I can say that because I have no clue. Maybe he's also saying, meaning between the lines, that I've prepared him well, our tactic is great, I have the best players, what is happening? So you're right, he loves to say that. I have no idea what happened. And I think sometimes when you are a coach by the big clubs, you kind of, there is not enough excuses to come up with, because it's expected you to win every game. And that was that thing today, that he over-communicated. He talked to them a lot. It was 3-0 to Eintracht Frankfurt after 36 minutes. This is Bayern Munich we're talking about. This is not just a hobby team going on a trip. So, yeah, Tuchel will be under pressure. And also, Tuchel's kind of personality is that he's not the one who will kind of say, it's my fault, or we have to do all over again, or something wrong in training. He's the guy. That is his strength, a big believer of himself. But when you lose football games, that can turn against you.
Must be a German thing. In the only game I played with under Bertie Vogts, I thought he was going to have a heart attack when he saw the Austrian line-up in a friendly. At Hampden, a friendly. He moved he juggled the whole thing about Christian Daly, you go and play there, you go and play there, you go and play there. I thought, what the hell, it's a friendly against Austria. But they haven't even got the Poco to fall back on.
No.
They got put out of that by some nondescript small team. You've got Bayer Leverkusen, well pronounced. Yep. You've got Bayer Leverkusen flying. And as I mentioned, the Champions League obviously is going to be I suppose the domestic league's the big one, but the Champions League is the big one. But, defending like that, can anybody really see them against the better teams?
No.
It's quite interesting, boys. I'll just say that the interesting thing, I'm going to this show tomorrow. We're going to discuss the big topics in German football.
Yes,
all right. Yes. All right, Jan.
Okay. I'm going to talk to some people tomorrow. And the interesting thing is, when I see the topics they are discussing, is it right that Julian Nagelsmann bring his missus to games when he's scouting teams? That's the biggest problem of German football now, they're losing against every team, including the Vatican State, and they're talking about Lena going with Nagelsmann in the stadium. So there is something wrong now in German football. The only thing for them is very positive. They won the Under-17 World Cup, but the Euros is next season, next summer, and they will be 18. I can't see that will be the core team of Germany at that tournament.